Faye. My name is Amy Gorton, and I am the new director for the Wellness Center and Health Promotions Department for the Naval Hospital. We, my assistant, HM3 Anderson, our USO volunteers, Josh and Tiffany, are presenting a series of cooking shows that are based on quick, easy, and healthy. Today, we are going to show you how to do a one-pot meal. It's a one saute pan meal that has a variety of health benefits. We are going to be making a crispy skin seared salmon with a winter salsa and pan roasted asparagus. We will provide all of the ingredients. We'll show you how to put it together, and we'll also provide you with a lot of the nutritional content that goes with it. This dish that you'll be shown on the plate is really high in antioxidants, omega-3s, folate, vitamin K, and has a lot of benefit for mind health. So, are you ready? We're going to do this in a short amount of time with a lot of flavor. One of the first things that you want to make sure is that your salmon is dry. We have salmon fillets that have the skin on. You want to look for still shiny skin here. Most of all of these will already have the scales off, but you can take a paper towel, dry it off. So getting the moisture off helps all of the seasoning stick to it. The one important thing that you have to take care of is if there are any bones. You can actually see them. These have like the rib bone on the inside. They're fairly easy to take out. They run this way, just like a rib cage for a person, but they have the spine in the middle. So you just kind of work out there. A lot of times you can just use a pair of scissors to cut it out. If you have a really good pair of scissors, then deboning salmon is pretty easy. It'll kind of just take the top layer off, or you can pull out one each at a time, just like this, and it'll pull out. This one's gonna be a little bit messy, sorry about that. But each one of these, if you feel down, you'll be able to feel all of the bones coming out, and a really good pair of scissors will help you pull these. Whenever we go to sear the salmon, it'll hold together. Now, a little bit of this on the side, that's a little bit of the sinew, a little bit of it holding it together. All of this has nutrition in it. This is where you find most of the omega-3 benefits is in the skin. So if you can keep some of this on, it's great. It also helps hold the moisture of the fish in. So if you don't like the texture of the skin, the crispy skin, you don't have to eat it, but you're gonna have more nutritional benefits if you leave it on while you're cooking. Plus it'll help it hold together. So after deboning, making sure it's dry, then we'll put it over here and we'll season. So whenever you're doing this, if it seems a little bit tedious, you have an extra benefit while doing this. If you save all of these pieces here, see there's a little bit of meat still on here, even the bones, you can make a fish stock with this. Just put it in a Ziploc, like double Ziploc it. You don't want the bones poking a hole in the plastic, and put it in the freezer. If you don't want to do it right now, save it for later. But this makes a wonderful fish stock. All right. To season our salmon, you see that we have the skin up first. That's what we're most concerned with, keeping it crispy and having some flavor to it. So we're gonna give it a really liberal dousing of salt, and make sure you kind of rub it in a little bit. You don't want to smush it too much. Some of it's gonna come off whenever you cook it. Same with a little bit of pepper. You don't have to put a lot, but you do want to make sure that you get quite a bit of salt on. Then turn it over and do the same thing. And then you're gonna turn it over one more time. You're only gonna season both sides, but it's gonna pick up some of the seasoning that you've already put down. You don't wanna put as much seasoning on the flesh side because it will start releasing a lot more of the moisture on the inside. So just a little bit. And then turn them back over. And these guys will be ready to go straight in the pan. Oops, we lost a little piece there. It's my Julia Childs moment. All right. The next thing that we're going to make is a winter salsa. We're calling it winter because right now the Mikan Satsumas are in season and they are wonderful. If you don't take advantage of eating these in the winter time here in Japan, I don't know what to say. But they're fantastic. So we're gonna make an easy fruit salsa with tomatoes, which are technically a fruit. So we're going to chop satsuma, tomato, and a little bit of fresh herb and lemon juice. And that's all it's gonna be. So we're gonna rough chop it up. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be tiny. It just has to be about the same size. You don't want giant tomato and then a little tiny orange. So we are going to show you how to do these. Everything goes in the bowl. We put in the lemon juice and a little bit of salt and pepper, and it sits in the fridge until our hot stuff is hot.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Have you ever done one of these? No?
Not cut one.
You're gonna take the peel off just like this. And even though this stuff has some health benefits, we really don't want all of the outside hairy part of this in there. So a fun, easy way to get these out is you're gonna take a knife, and you see where these little lines are? You're not gonna cut in the line because that's gonna pull the wedge out. You're just gonna cut on the inside of it like that, and you get most of it off. You still have a little bit on the back side, but it'll come off that way. So go ahead, cut it in half, and then it goes in. So it can go fairly fast, and the great thing about this, you have these inside parts that are left. You can have those as a snack. Perfect. Now we're going to concentrate on our tomatoes. We don't want the stems in, so you can just pop them off like that. Then, to keep them from rolling across your cutting board, turn them upside down. Super simple trick. So for these guys, some people do not like seeds and they'll cut the outside flesh off. This is quick, easy, and healthy. We're gonna leave the seeds in and not worry about it too much. Plus, it doesn't have to be super fancy and a lot of knife cuts. So we're just gonna rough chop it. So depending on how big your tomato is, you can cut it 4 ways, 6 ways, whichever way. But turn it over so it doesn't roll. Cut down the middle, and you got about like that. If it's a smaller tomato, you may just have to cut it in half. So the smaller cherry tomato, depending on how big your oranges are over here, your satsumas, you want them just to be kind of about the same size when you're chewing. Okay, now we have our fruit, our winter fruit cut up, tomatoes and satsuma mikans. And we're gonna add a little bit of fresh green to it to kind of brighten it up. We're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice. This can be fresh lemon or it can be the bottled lemon. It's from Fresh Lemons. So sometimes they're expensive, hard to get. It's easier, quicker. So just go ahead, put a little bit of lemon juice over the top. It kind of brings out a little bit more of the tartness. So you have a little bitter in the tomato and then super sweet with the satsuma. So now we're gonna kind of offset that with a little bit of brightness, a little bit of freshness, something that's not cooked and it doesn't have a lot of sweet or bitter. We have flat leaf parsley and we have cilantro or coriander, Chinese parsley. I personally don't mind the stalks. In Thai cooking, we use the stalks for everything. Even in Hispanic food, in a lot of sauces, you just have to chop it up really fine. So if you don't like cilantro and you think that it tastes like soap, don't use cilantro. You can use parsley. It has a lot of health benefits, lots. People think there's no health benefit, it's just fluff. Not true, lots of health benefits. So chop a little bit of it up, we throw it in, and it sits with salt and pepper, marinates in the refrigerator. So we're just gonna go together. Do a rough chop at first, and then you're just gonna keep going until you get to where it's palatable to you. If you like a little bit more leafy green, which I do, I'm gonna leave it a little bit bigger than some people would. Now, if you're fancy and you have a food processor at home, you can put it in there, but it kind of tears up your green. It makes it a little bit soggy, and you can even see the color change where it gets really dark. And that's not my favorite. We want this for freshness. Little bit of salt and just a tiny bit of pepper, and then mix it all together. You can already see the lemon juice and some of the satsuma juice at the bottom mixing. It's gonna be yummy. Next, we're gonna take care of our asparagus. Asparagus, you can pretty much get it all year round in pretty much any store in Japan. But one of the great things about it is it's high fiber and it's really high in folate. Most people don't know that. It has so many benefits. It's high in folate and it's high in fiber, and it's fairly easy to not mess up. So you hear all kinds of things about peeling it and breaking it, and you don't have to do anything except cut off the light end of it. That's all you have to do. Now, if you're working at a 5-star restaurant where you need to blanch it and then you're doing something else with it, making a pureed soup, then you can spend all that time peeling it and making it look kind of fancy and nice. But the bend and break method, there is a, I guess, an idea that where it breaks, that's where you pull it off. A lot of times you lose a lot of the stuff that you could actually eat. So bend and break is not something that you would ever do in a restaurant. So you just kind of take a look at it, size them all up, see where there's a little bit of a green that goes to white, and then just, ta-da, ready to go. Next, we're gonna make sure that we have all of our things ready that are gonna go into the pan. We're gonna use one pan to do this, and we're going to need a little bit of salt and pepper to season the asparagus. We're going to put in a little bit of red chili flake, and we're gonna put in garlic. So basically, we're gonna be making like a little bit of a butter garlic sauce. Garlic, super easy. You can keep it around for a really long time, and super easy and quick kitchen hack. If you want to peel garlic and not have it all over your hands and fingers, you can use a little jar, throw it in, and then just shake it up, and the peel will come right off. And then you don't have stinky garlic hands. Ta-da! Now, we don't want the fibrous ends, so we're gonna cut those off. And then just go ahead and chop it up a little bit. You wanna cut it through the inside to where it'll lay flat so you don't end up cutting yourself. And then just cut it in a little julienne. It doesn't have to be too small because it's gonna cook down. Now, if you were eating this raw, you would probably want it to cut down, but I wouldn't eat it raw unless I was marinating with something else. So, a little bit of chopped, and this is gonna go into our pan once we start cooking our asparagus. All right, most important part about this recipe, especially for making the salmon skin crispy, is to make sure that your saute pan is hot. It needs to be extremely hot. Nothing in it. You can check by putting your hand over the saute pan to make sure that you can feel the heat emanating up. You don't want to touch it. You also don't want to put anything in it yet. And as soon as you feel like it's heated all the way around, then we can begin. You're going to put in a little bit of olive oil, about 2 or 3 tablespoons, so it covers the pan. And then we're going to put our salmon fillets in skin side down first. We want that to get crispy. It'll stay in for about 3 to 4 minutes on the skin side before we turn it over. All right, first thing we're gonna do, add our olive oil. You can see the pan starting to smoke a little. Take it off. Let it cool down a bit. If that happens, just cool it down. It's hard to gauge the heat on an electric oven whenever you're used to using a gas oven. So we're gonna put about 2 to 3 tablespoons. You want enough that it's gonna cover the bottom of your pan. We're not frying it, but we are making it crispy. So once it's covered, the first thing you're gonna do, make sure that your salmon skin gets a little bit of oil. Be careful. And you're gonna let it sit and crisp for about 3 minutes. You can turn the heat down a little bit if it's too high, but you can hear it sizzling. It's not sitting in a lot of oil, it's just crisping up. So about 3 minutes, then you're going to add a little bit of butter, garlic, and your asparagus in the same pan. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit of butter to our pan. About a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. This is also going to help with the flavor. It makes a little bit of a brown butter. Throw our asparagus in right next to it. Add a little bit of garlic. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper for our asparagus and the pan sauce that it's making. A little bit of black pepper and some red chili flakes, just to give it a little bit of a punch. Now, since we have this all in, it's probably time for us to turn our salmon. So, if you don't have a fish spatula, I suggest that you buy one. You can get them at the dollar store, but they're very helpful. Just the skin. Just the skin. So now, once we turn the salmon over, you can see the crispy skin on it. It's only going to cook about 2 minutes on this side because it's almost cooked all the way through. And then we leave our asparagus in here to kind of cook to whatever your preference is. Some people like it really crisp and have a bite to it, really al dente, and then some people like it softer. So it's your preference on that. But just remember that about 2 minutes later, you want to go ahead and pull your salmon out because you don't want to overcook it. All right, mixture. Toss your asparagus around a little bit. You don't want it to cook just on one side. But again, you can use tongs, kind of pick it up and see how soft you want it. If it starts to bend a little bit, it's ready to go. Got a nice pan here, and then we'll start plating. Remember, turn your oven off. here. Our lovely little salsa. And finish. This was a quick, easy, healthy meal that you can do in under 30 minutes. It has a wide variety of nutritional benefit, and you can find most of the ingredients all year round. This was brought to you by the USO and Health Promotions, the Wellness Center. Thank you.